Welcome back to the Knowledge Academy's YouTube channel. Today, we are going to learn how to create and use pivot charts in Excel. Pivot charts are a powerful way to visualize and analyze your data in a graphical format. They are linked to pivot tables, which are dynamic summaries of your data. Let's dive into the topic of pivot charts in Excel. What is a pivot chart in Excel? A pivot chart in Excel is a graphical representation of a pivot table, which is a data summary that allows you to manipulate and explore your data in different ways. A pivot chart displays the data in the pivot table as a chart, such as a column, bar, line, pie, or an area chart. You can use a pivot chart to compare, contrast, and identify trends or patterns in your data. Let us discuss some key features of pivot charts in Excel. Number 1. Link to pivot tables. Pivot charts are connected to pivot tables, which means any changes you make on the pivot table are reflected in the pivot chart and vice versa. Number 2. Interactive filters. Pivot charts have interactive filters such as slicers and timelines that allow you to filter and slice your data by different categories or time periods. Number 3. Customizable layouts. Pivot charts have customizable layouts such as axis titles, legends, data tables, and chart styles that allow you to modify the appearance and presentation of your chart. Number 4. Dynamic updates. Pivot charts are dynamic, which means they automatically update when you change the source data or refresh the pivot table. Steps to create a pivot chart in Excel. To create a pivot chart in Excel, follow these simple steps. Step 1. Select a cell in your source data or in an existing pivot table. Step 2. On the Insert tab in the Charts group, click Pivot Chart. Step 3. In the Insert Chart dialog box, choose the type of chart you want and click OK. Step 4. In the Pivot Chart Fields pane, drag and drop the files you want to display in the chart into the appropriate areas, that is, axes, legends, values, or filters. Step 5. Use the field list to arrange fields in the pivot chart or change the calculation type or number format of the values. Step 6. Use the Design and Format tab under Pivot Chart Tools to customize the layout and the style of your chart. Step 7. Use slicers or timelines to filter your data by different categories or time periods. Now, let us look at an example of a pivot chart in Excel based on some university students' monthly expenses. The source data contains information about the expenses. We can create a pivot table from this data by selecting any cell in the data range and clicking Insert Pivot Table. In the Create Pivot Table dialog box, we can choose where we want to place the pivot table. That is, it can be created in a new worksheet or it can be created in an existing worksheet. And then click OK. Next, in the Pivot Table field pane, we can drag and drop the files we want to summarize into appropriate areas. To create a pivot chart from this pivot table, we can select any cell in the pivot table and click Insert Pivot Chart. In the Insert Chart dialog box, we can choose the type of chart we want and then we have to click OK. This will create a pivot chart that displays the same data as the pivot table in a graphical format. We can use the field list to change the fields or calculations in the pivot chart. We can also change the calculation type of amount from sum to average by right-clicking on Amount in Values and choosing Value Field Settings. In the Value Field Setting dialog box, we can choose Average from the list of options and click OK. We can use the Design and Format tab under Pivot Chart Tools to customize the layout and the style of a chart. We can also change the color scheme of our chart by clicking Change Colors and choosing a different option from the gallery. In conclusion, pivot charts are a great way to visualize and analyze your data in Excel. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting and informative content. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update.